to show you these quad wrist cuff exercise bands that we're adding. And I want to just show you a few different exercises you can do with these. So you can see here, I've simply run the band under the wheelchair. Can you hear it now? Yeah. And so that gives me the ability, I can still maneuver the wheelchair, maneuver around if I want to while I'm exercising. And in this position, I can do a few different exercises. I can do an arm curl. So as a quad, we have use of our biceps. And you want to come up slow and down slow. So you're giving resistance both in the up and the down. Now if I want to use my shoulders more, I can go out to the sides. That's a deltoid raise. That's in the upper part of the shoulder. Coming up and out to the outsides. Again, so come up and then come down slow. And finally, I can also come out forward, keeping my elbows straight. And there I'm using the front of the deltoid muscle on the front of the shoulder. Not curling. And finally, going back to the arm curl. So it's 3 different exercises I could do in this position. Recording. All right, so besides maneuvering, so what I usually do, I like to take my mind off things while I'm exercising. I actually will put something on YouTube and watch something of interest. Echo. Go back.
When you're starting a business, every dollar counts.
Echo. Select that.
Determine which companies, in fact, prioritize your audience. Once you know who your audience is, prospecting is a breeze.
This is a great little morning
Next
routine.
step in building your sponsorship opportunities, knowing how
All right.
much to charge, otherwise known as.
Let's go ahead and look at a few other exercise positions we can do. Okay, the next exercise we're doing here is simply pulling away. We've got the one component here you put through the door frame. Any door, you can use this in any door that's available. Can you show that on the... Great. So you simply put the knob into the door, close the door. We can put it in different positions on the door, high, low, and in this case, I'm using this in a rowing motion, kind of, or pushing out, away, which depending on your level of injury, you might, I don't have a huge amount of strength since I don't really have triceps. I did have a tendon transfer in this arm, so I have a bicep to tricep. This arm, I'm more pulling the arm out with my deltoids and allowing the elbow to straighten, using my bicep to control it. I'm not straightening it with a tricep since I have no tricep in this arm. Like I cannot extend it out, but I'm just allowing the band to help me pull my arm straight. Now, besides going straight forward like this, I can also let the arms straight out, allow my elbows to be straight, and again, focusing more on the muscle that brings the arms in towards the middle of the body, on the front of the shoulders. You can also go underneath and pulling up and forward. That's much in the same as the one I showed previously when the band was under the wheelchair. But this gets it from a little bit of a different angle. Or you could even go up over your head and then pull down. This one is difficult for me, but again, it depends on the person. In fact, for this one, I'd put it up in the top of the door even. But if you're like a C6 quad, this might be a good one for you because you'll have a little bit more muscle in the armpit area to be able to pull down. That one's real difficult for me to be able to do well and control it. For me as a C5, it's pulling straight out. Okay, here's a third position. What I've got is we put the piece in the doorway at about roughly my eye level. So I'm looking straight at it. And now in this one, I'm just going to simply pull back. Notice my arm position. I can get different muscle groups. Again, here I'm using now I'm pulling the back of my shoulders by keeping my palms down, elbows up at shoulder height, and pulling back, and then letting out slowly and pulling back. Of course, if you want a more aerobic exercise and get some torso function moving in, I've added a little bit of tilt to my wheelchair so I can lean forward a little. If you want more tension, you simply back a wheelchair up from the wall or from the door. Adds more tension. Of course, you got all the 5 different bands from 10 pounds up to 50 pounds. So, but ultimately, I think you get a better exercise by going slow and pulling back. Now, I can also change this and do an arm curl. Again, that's kind of like the very first one where I'm doing the arm curl up from below the wheelchair. This adds some shoulder as well as the biceps to it. But notice I'm getting a very different exercise doing this, pulling back with the shoulders and almost like bringing my palms up to touch my chest. That's a different exercise than if you keep your palms down and you bring your elbows out and back. There you go. Of course, you can mix and match the bands. In this case, I put on both a 10 and a 20, which is a little too much resistance for me. But you can also do a motion like this, one arm, then the other, to kind of simulate something more like a Vita glide. Now, I don't have any torso, but if you have some torso function, doing the one and then the other arm can help you add torso twist to your exercise also. Here's another technique. What if one arm is stronger than the other? In this case, I put the 15-pound on my left arm and the 10-pound on my right arm. And so I can balance if one arm is stronger than the other without it throwing your balance off. And again, this is going one and then the other, having individual resistance on either arm. Is much like doing a Vita glide type exercise. Of course, if I do both together, it's more like a rowing type exercise in this position. But this same concept can be done for any of the other exercises I showed you earlier.